Hey everybody, welcome back to the Music Money Makeover show. Welcome back. Come on in the room. Let's get the show started. All right. Today the show is about how should recording artists pay their team members, and how should they also select their team members as well. All right. So that's what we're kind of digging into today on this show right here. So before we hop in, I got a quick couple of announcements to make. Shout out to everybody coming in the room early. Don't forget you can listen to the show every Tuesday at 8:30 live on stream with me. And then after the show, you can check it out on Spotify as well as Google Podcasts, Breaker Podcasts, and also you can check it out on Radio Public. All right, you can follow me on Instagram at CaseyGraham_24 or at District24 Music. And you can search me on Facebook at Casey Graham and then on LinkedIn at Casey Graham. All right. Also, for you all out there who are making music, I am finally giving you a little bit of detail on the film that I've been working on. The film is called Jezebel, The New Supply. It's about a Jezebel spirit encapsulating a woman coming into this woman. So this is a new film that I'll be working on. I've been working on it for the last 4 months from the ground floor. We've got a team of about 20 people working on it, a few writers. And so I'm excited to bring this to the forefront. They're casting for it now, which means I need music for it, okay? So as those cues begin to fill in, I will let you all know about, what those cues will be sounding like. And also, if you just want to submit music to me in general for television and film, you can at district24music.com/submit music. All right? www.district24music.com/submit music. All right? Like I said, this is episode 13 of the Music Money Makeover show. How should recording artists pay their team members? And kind of what percentages should you pay your team members that you're thinking about bringing on board and hiring and all this stuff like that? Okay, so let's jump into it. If you know from past podcasts, I might have said something sort of along the lines of you should probably hire your attorney first, right? Well, that's the first person that I think that you should add on to the team when it comes to building your team and paying your team members, because that attorney will eventually bring you more success and more opportunities if you put them on first. Now, there's nothing wrong with hiring an artist consultant like either myself or someone else out in the industry. There's nothing wrong with talking to a consultant before you get to an attorney. I think it's great because you can kind of get your ducks in a row on what you need to talk to the attorney about. But let's jump into what the attorney fees will be, all right? And you'll kind of see how artist consultants kind of piggyback off of what you would actually pay your attorney, your entertainment attorney, to sit down and talk about. All right, so retainers. Let's talk about retainers really quickly for entertainment attorneys, all right? They can go anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000, easy, all day long. It just depends on what it is you want to do, all right? And then if you want to look at it from an hourly standpoint, you can come in at $100 to $300 an hour, all right? And for a lot of music consultants, you'll find that their pricing is right alongside what the attorneys charge, which is about $100 to $300 an hour, okay? But in the grand scheme of things, if you can get your ducks in a row before you pick up that phone and call, it'll be a little bit better for you, and it'll be better for the attorney, because the attorney will know what you're asking for. Because once you leave the consultant and you go to the attorney, the clock is ticking, and they're not going to waste any time on how much they're charging you, and they won't show any remorse either. All right? But let's get around this hourly fee, this retainer fee, because you being a new artist, you want to look at it from a percentage standpoint, okay? And most attorneys will charge you anywhere from 5% on the standard side to 7% on the rich side, okay? It just depends on how big the attorney is, okay? But 5% to 7% is in the ballpark of what we want to call standard. Now, I'm going to use this 5 to 7%, and we're going to bring in another party, another team member, and you're going to see how they play well together. All right, and you're going to see why the standard fee that you may think goes for this next team member is not what it should be. All right, so this 5 to 7% is paid for based on the deals that the attorney closes, okay? So in order for the attorney to make money, a lot of the work will be done kind of pro bono, unless they tell you to pay for your contracts up front. But as an artist, most of the time you're going to be getting these contracts drafted, and they're going to do it for free so that they can get you down the line to get a bigger deal, so they can get 5 to 7% off of that deal. All right, whatever. I think you should give that to the attorney. Fine, they're doing the negotiations for you and they're closing it for you. If you can give this like the equivalent of trying to close on a house, you have the real estate attorney and you have closing fees involved with closing on a house when you want to buy a house. It's the same thing. When you get a record deal in place, you got some people that you need to pay because they facilitated this deal for you. So that's going to be 5 to 7%. All right. If you're balling like that, you be paying them on retainer. And sometimes they will still charge you a percentage fee. But most of the time, entertainment attorneys do not charge you that retainer plus the fee. Just depends on how big you are. All right. Now that we have that there, let's go to our second team member that we need to pick up and pay. And I like to put this team member after the attorney. But let's talk about the manager. All right. I'm going to read this. I wrote this out. You can find these notes on my Medium page. I'll have it posted after the show. And then you can also listen back to the show on Spotify for the podcast. But check this out. Management will be the second stop when it comes to these fees. All right. Most managers starting out will be anywhere from 12 to 15%. All right. So this is why I said that the lawyer would be anywhere from 5 to 7%. Most artists think that managers need 20% or they are supposed to get 20%. That's not true. That's not the case. And if they're asking for 20%, that's a little bit high, and they're really not in this game like that, or you're just giving up 20% and you're not thinking about the long term. All right. You're not thinking about what's going to happen to you when a deal comes on the table and you're giving 20% to the management. All right. So let's make it fit together like a puzzle piece. All right. 12 to 15%. All right. And they're going to get this when the deal closes as well, because more than likely it's the manager who's going to go out and get the deal. Sometimes the attorney can go out and get the deal, but a lot of times the manager will do so. And if it's not the manager going to get the deal, and the attorney goes and gets the deal, the manager will have to be there to maintain everything. All right. So 12 to 15%. If there's 12 to 15% here, then we take the lawyer's 5 to 7% and you lock it in together for a solid 20%. Now we're cooking with gas, and we're not overextending ourselves into the 25% range, 27% range before the artist, takes home any money. All right. So check it out. Now, I highly suggest that upon looking for an inexperienced manager, do not hire them at the max rate of 20%. 20% is a bit high for any manager, especially when they are using the lawyer to close your deal at 5 to 7%. All right. Now you see why it isn't wise to hire a manager at 20%. You can also hire a manager on salary. All right. If you got the cash, all right? If you're big enough to do so, because all of the closing fees add up, taking money out of your pocket. Now, artists, when you eventually close on your deal, that money that you have to pay people is not coming out of the recording fund or the promotion fund. It's coming out of your artist advance. Okay. All right. Whether you do a small independent deal, whether you do a big major deal, I am right at the point of all of my do-it-yourselfers that are watching the show right now. If you're a do-it-yourself artist and you're closing on an independent deal, I'm right there at that gate. I'm right there. You've now surpassed the point of doing a lot of things yourself, and you're ready to ante up your stakes. All right? So if you're going to do a deal at that 20%, let it be all together. All right? All this stuff is coming out of your artist royalty. All right? So, but if you're going to do this on a salary now because you're making a lot of money, then you can X out the manager's cut and pay them on a yearly fee. Okay? So you can go anywhere from 100,000 to 300,000. As you can see, this number keeps fluctuating between that 1 and 3. All right. So if you're paying your manager on a salary, you don't have to worry about cutting them in on any other deals. Or maybe you tell them, hey, look, if you bring a deal to the table, we can do 10% on deals and I'll pay you a salary. But that's for whatever you bring to the table. If you don't bring it to the table, that means that you don't get any deal that you did not bring to the table that my lawyer had to close on. You don't get any merch, touring, all this extra stuff. It's all depending on what you work out, okay? So you have to negotiate. You only get what you negotiate. You don't negotiate it, you don't get it. So you kind of got to know these things, all right? And that's why you want to go back to your attorney. You want your attorney to have your best interest at heart, all right? So, check this out. Let me ask you. If person A, the manager, brought the opportunity and deal to the table, but person B, the lawyer, will negotiate and close the deal, who should get closing percentages? All right? So that's like me saying, hey, look, let's go and get a deal from blah, blah, blah. All right? And then we bring it in to the lawyer. The lawyer is going to take up to 90 days negotiating this thing. All right, maybe a little bit longer. The manager is they're not negotiating anything anymore for the most part, unless they really know contracts in and out, just like the attorney. They're not going back and forth. They're letting the attorney handle this because they have to take care of your other dealings within your operation. Okay, so who should actually get the closing costs? To me, it sounds like the attorney should get closing costs and the manager should get a reduced percentage on the deal. Shouldn't be 20% because you just brought it to the table. You didn't facilitate it. You didn't negotiate it. You didn't go back and forth with the labels attorneys and all this stuff. The attorney did. So it sounds like to me the manager should get a reduced percentage, if any. But when you can do so, artists, when you get big enough, pay them on salary. Okay? Keep them paid, and then you keep money in the manager's pocket, they'll do a lot more for you. All right? They won't be rushing to try to get you a deal. Okay? All right. Now, because rushing and trying to get you a deal is just that puts you in uncomfortable situations. Okay? Now, let's talk about the third person, the agent. This is number 3. This is the agent that you want on your team. This is sometimes called a booking agent, or it's just called an agent. All right? They get 5%. So check this out. Booking agents, or agents as some call them, their closing fee is 5% standard. All right? I have no arguments here. I think 5% is cool. They're going to get you shows, and they're not going to necessarily get you, a little show date here or a show date there. They're trying to put you on a short run tour, all right, where you have a bigger artist that has a lot more traction than you. They don't have to be the biggest. They don't have to be A-list. They could be B-list or C-list, but they will put you on as an opener. They will call around and get you the show or the line on a lineup that you need to be on, okay? Their closing fee is 5%, all right? Manager doesn't get a piece of that, just the agent, all right? The 5% gives room for the record label to take a piece if you sign a 360 deal, okay? So the record label may come in and talk to your agent and say, hey, send another 5% of that over to, Record Deal USA. All right. So that's what's going to happen when you sign a 360 deal. But that 5% leaves room for another 5% to be taken by your record label. All right. We're on the third person right now. So we're talking about the agent or the agency. Now, when you get good enough, graduate to a bigger agency. All right. Not like a regional booking agent anymore or talent booker. Go to a bigger agency now. All right. Or you can just start off with the agency from the jump. So these are people like William Morris, CAA, Rock Nation, UTA, ICM, all of this stuff. The list just goes on and on and on with these agencies, all right? So go out and get you a bigger agency, all right? So, but they're going to take 5%. Fourth member of the team, Publicists, all right? Outside of you self-promoting and showing up at events yourself, your publicist will be responsible for understanding you and your image as an artist and what will be the best key events for you to show up to in order to maximize your exposure. All right? That's what it is that they do. You don't want to get with the publicist who, let's say if you're an R&B singer, you end up showing up to country events. That doesn't mix well together, okay? So you want to have a publicist who also has your best interests at heart, who also understands your creativity and understands where you're going, understands maybe your look, your style, so that they can put you at the right red carpet events, at the right step and repeats, at the right whatever. Put you in front of, because their job is to get you in front of the camera in the right circumstances that fit your vision and where you're going as an artist, all right? Now, their fee is anywhere from $1,200 to $2,500 a month, okay? It's flat out. That's just what it is, all right? So if you need a publicist, I'd suggest hiring them around the time where you're getting ready to promote an album. Hire them for a period of 90 days to 120 days, okay? 3 to 4 months, hire them out for that. It will, and look at this. Even let's say if you have your attorney, here's another scenario that you can do. The attorney and the publicist. If you put those two together, you may put yourself in an even better position before you even get management. Because the publicist will put you in the right venue. They won't necessarily get you shows, but they'll get you exposure. All right? You can also do the attorney and the agent before you hire the manager. And once we get to the fifth person, you'll see why. All right? Oh, actually, we'll wait for that. We'll get to that. I'll put this as a seventh person, but we'll get there. I'll show you this person. All right, so now that we have our publicist, our agent, our manager, our lawyer, let's talk about some in-the-house operations, inside of your house. Let's talk about this good old publisher. I'm always talking about publishing on my show, so let's talk about the publisher. And by the way, if you have any questions, go ahead and drop them in the comment section below this stream. I'll get your questions answered on that so you all can understand that. All right, so let's go into your operation, into your business operation, and let's talk about your publishing. All right, so I'm meaning yourself now. So if your publishing operations are kept in-house, then your publisher will be responsible for getting all split sheets, registering all material in the 20 some odd places. I really mean it, 20 some odd places where your song needs to be registered, more than just BMI and ASCAP, okay? So that you can collect all the money and reap all the benefits from your song, all right? Now these are needed to be registered in order to keep all of your operations in-house, to keep a full-on publishing operation going on where your rights and your business does not leave your circle. All right. If this is your setup, then your fee for them should be monthly for administration, or 20% of all net income as you receive it. I'm gonna stop right there because net income means after receipts. So after the expenses of handling your publishing, then that's what your key person that you assign to do your administration will be getting paid. This can be hired out, but like I said, for the scenario of this show, we're talking about keeping everything in-house, keeping it tidy, keeping it clean. All right? So, only if your in-house staff is actively exploiting your compositions or songs, if they are just registering them, they should get 12 to 15%. All right? This is called collections only of all net revenue from your in-house operation. All right? You can just pick as long as you have someone that knows, maybe you had someone that went to school for, music business or something, and they need a job, and you're an independent artist and you need your stuff registered, you can work out a deal for them so that they can get your stuff registered, but they don't, you don't assign anything to them in their company. You just let them work on your behalf, and then you can have them be paid out from your company. All right. I don't want to get, this is probably as advanced as I'm going to get. So if you have any questions, go ahead and drop them in the comment section below. Shout out to Instagram and everybody on Instagram watching. Most of y'all on Facebook today, so it's all good. All right, now this can be shifted out of house, but when you're just starting out, okay, your operation needs workers. You can do a major deal later, but if you act like a major label when starting out, you might not need one when the time arises. Lastly, your in-house publisher takes care of administering the record sales as well, because those are easy. I mean, that's just like you put your stuff on Spotify, the money comes in. If anybody needs royalties, then you'll give them the task of delegating that and sending the royalty payments out, which I suggest DistroKid to handle that for you as an independent do-it-yourself artist. Okay, now let's get into the next line before we jump to what I call below the line workers. All right, marketing. Okay, marketing will be a joint effort if money is to be paid out to attack the marketing strategy when time arises. Okay, everybody is, when it comes to marketing, all hands are on deck with marketing when you're a do-it-yourself artist. So everybody that you have on your team, understand everybody has to pitch in with this marketing. Okay, because you have enough people on deck, you have enough people that you can call and ask for an opinion on. Hopefully you got your homies with you that are keen enough to say, hey, this guy or this woman is going somewhere. Let's help out. Let's pitch in. All right. Everybody's pitching in on marketing as well as you, the artist. All right. So let's tie in. This is let's see. How many workers are we up to? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5. All right, that was 5. So now let's get into what's called the below the line workers. And that means like all my top line workers are people we take care of first. All the below the line workers, or team members rather, are who we worry about paying last. All right. This person, your assistant, your day-to-day assistant, is not the manager, because the manager is supposed to, by definition, be responsible for maintaining, handling, keeping control of, or administering all or part of a company or similar organization. Do not confuse your assistants with managerial activities. Okay, I think that a lot of people get it confused when they say, artists say, oh, I need help doing this, I need help doing that. Managers aren't there to help you in your day-to-day activities. I mean, they can, but they're not there for that. They are there to manage your business operations, okay? And then they bring things to the table that you either say, yes, let's do it, or no, let's not do it. I don't feel that sits well with me. All right? You can hire and fire your manager. You can hire and fire your assistant. But your assistant comes after you kind of find that manager. There's going to be a lot of things that you as an artist need to do yourself. Okay? When it gets totally out of hand, then you think about bringing on your assistant. All right? Your assistant will be tasked with your day-to-day needs and requests. They must do a great job at it, or you will be wasting your money. Now, topping out on the budget for the assistant, $2,000 to $2,500 a month. All right, maybe keep it at $2,000. All right, because your assistant will be doing a lot of moving and shaking with you. Okay, but maybe if you need it when you're starting out, maybe give them $500 a month to assist you. You won't get full day-to-day operations on that, because you gotta understand, for someone to be with you on day-to-day operations, they have to be with you all the time. Quite often. So that means that they won't have time to work an extra side hustle. All right. So they'll be doing that. And you can also have your assistant be your camera person. But, sometimes they might not be so savvy on that, but anybody has a cell phone, they can be your camera person. They can start out that way. All right. But then eventually you want to separate this to the last person here. So we talked about the lawyer. We talked about the management. We talked about the agent. We talked about the publicist. We talked about the publisher. We talked about marketing. We talked about the assistant. And the last person I'm going to add is your photographer. Okay? With all of these photos and videos, you will build your estate. That means all of the pictures they take, all of the video they take, you'll dump your iPhones, you'll dump your cameras onto SD cards and hard drives, store them away in a safe. That's your material, because as you get bigger and you mature in your path to becoming this great artist that you are, you will need this material to go back and document your journey. Always document, because at some point you will become a part of culture wherever you are, and people will eventually come back and say, hey, we want to do a period piece on you or a documentary piece on you, or we want to use you in this documentary, and we need footage of that. That footage people have to pay for. They have to license it. And that's why your camera footage, your photos and your videos, they go into what's called an estate. Like you hear the Marvin Gaye estate, the Michael Jackson estate. All this stuff you store away. This belongs to you. And then when it matures, you license it out for more money. All right? Now, let's get into some bonus fees after paying out. All right? Shout out to Daryl Triplett. If you all don't know, he has a network here based in Atlanta. Shout out to VH2 Networks. If you have a regular television or antenna television, you can go check out VH2 Networks. All right, so taxes. Taxes, let's bring up the fees for taxes. Okay. Let's say you close a big deal. In America, we're just going to shoot you all the way up to the 37% tax bracket based on the 2019 Department of Labor, the federal tax bracket. We'll shoot you up to 37%. All right. But if you're going to do a mid-level deal, we're going to put it in at 32 to 37%. 32% is right around $204,000. And anything above $204,000 will shoot you on up to the 37% tax bracket. All right. These are fees that you have to pay as soon as you get in advance. As soon as you get in advance, you have to set aside some taxes. Taxes are coming out. Now, they're not going to take taxes out. You have to know that you're going to have to pay that. It's not half. People always say, oh, the government takes half. No, it's not half. They've been giving tax breaks on this stuff, so you got to go speak with the tax attorney. But set aside 37% if you're going to do any type of decent deal, okay? 37% gone, all right? Set that aside immediately. Next, I suggest setting aside 10% in savings, because you want to set some money aside and maybe have it accrue some interest for you to touch later if you need it. All right, these are other excess fees that I think that you should do, or you should have in your mind that you should set aside. These don't actually go to a person except for the taxes, but of course you'll have write-offs there. All right, so let's recap really quickly. We talked about lawyers, we talked about management, we talked about agents, we talked about publicists, publishers, we talked about marketing, and we talked about assistants. All right, so in the lawyers, we talked about 5 to 7%. In the management, we talked about 12 to 15%, not 20%. 20% is just this number that floats out there that people think they should get. No, that's not the case. We talked about agents at 5%. We talked about a publicist at anywhere from $1,200 to $2,500 a month. We talked about a publisher at, if they're an administrator, at 20%, or if they're just helping you register and collect your money, 12 to 15%. Okay. We talked about marketing, all hands on deck for marketing. We talked about a day-to-day assistant, anywhere from, $500 on the low end to $2,000 maxed out so that they can be on salary. We talked about a camera guy, and you kind of have to choose the rate with the camera guy, because they're just going to be at events. So you're just going to charge them by events. All right. And then we talked about setting aside your taxes anywhere from 32 to 37% of your artist advance if you're doing a deal, or if all of your income altogether that comes into your operation, if you get so high, 32 to 37%, or if you're on the low end, if you're like just starting out and you're just under $10,000, it's going to be 10% of your money. All right. Savings, set aside 10% of your cash so you can do something with that later. All right. And we also talked about putting your photos and videos into an estate for use later in documentary footage, news footage, all that stuff, so your stuff could be licensed. All right. So that's the front half of the show. Everybody, if you have any questions, drop some questions in the comment section. And I will get those answered before the show is out. Let's jump into the fun part of the show I love that everybody usually chimes in on, is the news. All right. So I've been telling you all for a couple months, Donald Passman's All You Need to Know About the Music Business is coming out. All right. That will be out on November 14th. I thought it was October 28th. I don't know why. I don't know why I got the dates mixed up. But look out for that. Donald Passman's All You Need to Know About the Music Business. I think this is the 9th edition or the 10th edition. One of the two. All right. He basically touches on streaming. He updates that section. He touches on, there's a lot of stuff that I know got X from the book because some of this wouldn't do, some of those things just don't stand. Would I recommend this for comedians also? I'm not sure if you mean all you need to know about the music business, but for a comedian's an artist, and comedians also record comedy albums. It's still treated the same way as a music album. So I would suggest all of this. Like, if you're going to get an agent as a comedian, I don't know where. I know that talent bookers lie in the venue. All right. The best venues in town, that's where the comedy bookers lie. The talent bookers lie at those venues. And when you're getting started, that's where they're going to be. When you get big enough in your regional circuit, then you might want to start looking for a national agent to represent you. Like I said, like CAA or, a United Artists Agency or a UTA, Rock Nation, all these things to represent you as a comedian. Okay. And then all of the music stuff, the publishing and the master, all that stuff, the entertainment attorneys, all that stuff still applies, because if you're thinking about you as an artist, as a comedian, you're creating content. Content is king. All right. If you have content, let's say you do a comedy special, that comedy special can be turned into audio, which can be turned into a comedy album. All right. You could take that comedy album, talk to people at Sirius XM and put it on the comedy radio stations. You put it on Spotify, you can get it played and promoted and all these things. All right. And you can have income streams with that. You can take the comedy the comedy special, you can put it on YouTube and Netflix if you want to. Or if it can make, Netflix is pretty tough, but making it, you can put it on YouTube, Vimeo, you can charge people for it. It's all content. All right. So you got to think about those things when it comes to that. All right. So Donald Passman's All You Need to Know About the Music Business is coming out on November 14th. I will be grabbing a copy of that as soon as it comes out. Here's another thing. I want to talk to you all about podcasts. This is a live show. This is also turned into a podcast as well. And Daryl, for one thing that I do is I take this live stream, and as soon as this show is over, I'll rip the audio off, lay a music bed underneath it, and then ship it over to Spotify. So in about, let's see, if it's 9 o'clock now, you'll have the podcast at 11 p.m. tonight. And people will listen to the audio. All right. I'm also doing a YouTube page for this. So that will segue into my next thing. Deezer introduces shows hub for non-music audio content. All right, let's tap into it really quickly. So podcasts are really becoming king. All right, they've been going since I think 2008ish with Apple, but now everybody's getting on to it. And one thing I like about this article from Music Business Worldwide was that Deezer recently entered into global partnerships with 5 podcasting companies, including Libsyn, Alsha, Podomatic, Blurry, Simplecast, in addition to adding tech updates from existing partners, Audio Boom and Voxnest. All right, because there are a lot of podcast distributors out there. I think that for musicians or artists in general, podcasts are a great place to get your either if you rant, get it off. You know what I'm saying? If you want to talk about what you're going through as an artist, put it out there because people can benefit from it. For me, I have my show based around music business, and I'm telling you stuff that's going on. You know, sometimes I recap my days in the show and you don't even know it, but that's what I'm doing. I'm telling you what's going on with me and I'm putting it in the show because people need to hear this information. I'm giving you firsthand information, not necessarily showing you how to do it, but I'm telling you what it is out here. Okay? So a lot of people don't do that and people need it. So that's what I'm bringing, that's the value that I'm putting into the universe. All right? Hey, what's the name of my podcast? All right, the name of my podcast is Music Money Makeover. All right, you can find it on Spotify, the Music Money Makeover Show. All right, it's coming to YouTube quickly. I have to get because I didn't put it on YouTube from the jump, so I have to go back and put all the content on YouTube. But it's coming. So, all right. Yeah, sure, Daryl. Let's talk offline. I don't know if you have my number, but I'll hit you in the Facebook Messenger. And I'm glad I could answer your question. I don't know if I'm saying Sheila. Did I say it right? Sheila Hilton. I'm glad I can answer your question as well. All right. So, hey, look, that's one thing with Deezer and the podcast. But also, check this out, because podcasts are really coming into it. Sony Music enters original podcast content partnership with The Onion. All right? That's what I'm saying. Like, I wasn't really going to put podcasts in this because this show is really about do-it-yourself artists, making sure that you all can get what you need and tidbits of information to move you forward. But podcasts are a huge thing, and I think you should really pay attention to that, because what you don't know is that the labels are now starting to license music in the beds of music that go underneath podcasts. All right, so that's a plus for us as producers and writers and musicians. I feel that I know this is another stream of revenue that we all can benefit from. Okay, so I'm just going to read a little bit of this. So, comedy and news satire brand The Onion and Sony Music Entertainment have entered a strategic partnership to develop original podcast content. The companies will co-create a new daily satirical podcast focused on current events called The Topical, which is set to launch in January 2020. The Onion will oversee all creative aspects of the podcast, including writing, production, and recording. This article goes on and on, but I'm just shouting out some of these highlights of what went on in music on the business side this week. All right. Another thing, since I talk about publishing so much, all right, according to Hits Daily Double, the Jackson estate, remember I was talking about estates earlier, the Jackson estate from Michael Jackson, purchased the U.S. rights to Sly and the Family Stone's catalog. All right, so the estate of Michael Jackson is being taken higher with the acquisition of a majority ownership stake in the U.S. rights to the Sly and the Family Stone catalog. As part of the arrangement, Jackson's Magic, I think that's how you spell it, Jack, I don't know what it stands for, music, will retain long-term administration rights. All right, so ownership, people. Ownership is what it's about. Ownership is what it's about. Do you place your own music in your podcast? Yes, I do place my own music in my podcast. And I only do that because of clearances with underlying music. It has to be cleared out. I do have a library, and I do have music in my library used for things like syncing to television and film. I also have music in my podcast. I will soon be using stuff from the library to add into the podcast to promote it. There's some special ways I want to do that for my library so that the clients in my library get the exposure that they need. So there's some things I need to do there, but that is on the way. All right. Couple more news items to jump into. Facebook, man. Facebook, we're back in this thing again with music when it comes to Facebook. All right. I think you should check this article out. It comes from Music Business Worldwide. What's Facebook's game plan in music? All right. So I'll just read the highlight of the article. You all can go check it out. But a little under 2 years ago, Facebook announced a global licensing deal with Universal Music Group, covering the use of music on Facebook, Instagram, and VR platform Oculus. Over the following few months, we learned of similar agreements involving the likes of Warner Music Group, Sony ATV, and a host of independent labels via Merlin and others. Now, when TikTok came out, as you all know, TikTok is now in the middle of several lawsuits. But when TikTok came out, they gave Facebook a run for their money, and Instagram as well. So that's when you all started to really see Facebook music take off, where you could put the music in the stories of Facebook, all right? Because before, it was just sharing music on Facebook in the stream. But now, because TikTok came out, they have this function called Lip Sync Live, all right? This is to rival what TikTok is doing. And with all of this coming into play, there's a licensing fee that goes along with this. So I'm eager to see where this goes when it comes to licensing music in a small, minute form. Also, another example of what Facebook has is called music clip tracks via the stickers that they have in the stories, all right, for Instagram and Facebook. So if you want to share music, you know that's there. Right now, they're classifying this as not a full spin, but I think that will change, because when people start sharing music, there has to be, anytime you sync music to a picture, there has to be a license in place. If there is not, there's room for infringement. So I'm eager to see where this goes with Facebook and Instagram. Of course, you know, Instagram and Facebook is the same company. So we'll see how that goes, and we'll see if TikTok will be able to stand up to it. It's funny how today it's kind of all about podcasts, because of all people, the NFL Network is now launching, or the NFL in general is opening hubs on Spotify, Pandora, SoundCloud, and Tidal. All right. As further indication that music streaming services have gone fully mainstream, the National Football League announced that it is opening official hubs on leading streaming platforms. All right. So they will be bringing content, whether it be highlights, a little bit of news, or something like that, directly into these platforms. We're talking about basically podcasts and talk radio, and all this stuff will come directly in to your streaming platforms. So outside of music, you really want to look into this podcast game as some revenue here, whether you're putting music in the podcast or you're starting one yourself, you know, for promo, not necessarily just for music, but to talk about things that are on your mind that you want to talk about. All right. So, you know, I think that, you know, the reason I started this podcast, not just so I would give, you know, my business exposure and what I wanted to talk about, but I just felt that people needed knowledge about the music business. And most people don't read books like I do about business. And I pretty much salivate over music rights all day long. I like to talk about it. I like to dig into it. I like to see where the money flows. Only because of my experience in the industry and people not doing right by business, you know, when it comes to me and doing business. So I like to do business right. So I need to see where the money flows. And I want to make sure that everybody around me gets their money how they need to get it the right way. All right. So I want to make sure you all are taken care of, you know, that you have enough information to at least go out there and research things yourself. All right. So Anyway, I'll take some more questions now because I'm really at the end of my show. But I'll answer any questions you have. Like, hey, look, man, should I still press up some CDs? I'm thinking about doing this show in this town. Should I do it? All types of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So anything like that, just drop it in the comment section, man. I'm here every Tuesday, 8:30 p.m. I'll answer your questions. And if you want to get further in on your business, you can go to my website at district24music.com/consultations, and you can sign up for a free consultation. You can holler at me and we can talk about some stuff. And if you want to go further, we can go in depth. You know, you can hit the 30-minute or the hour consultation and we can get it popping. All right. So anyway, that's everything in a nutshell, man. Please don't drop a bunch of questions in my DM after the show. I'll take them. I'm thinking about maybe doing another show or maybe answering questions throughout the week periodically when you all ask them, so that, you know, I can stay in contact with everybody and I can stay on your minds and stay in your streams and your Facebook streams, your Instagram streams, and all of that stuff if you need questions answered. All right. Matter of fact, I think I'll do that. If you drop me questions just randomly, I'll answer those and I'll just put them up so everybody can get it, because I think everybody needs to get this information. You know, no problem. You are totally welcome for the information, Sheila. So, yeah. Hey, everybody. If you want to listen to this podcast after the show is over, you can go to Spotify and search the Music Money Makeover Show. It will be there live in full effect. All right. Don't forget, you can follow me at CaseyGraham_24 on Instagram. You can follow the Music Library at District24Music on Instagram. You can also find me on Facebook, Casey Graham, and you can find me on LinkedIn at Casey Graham. Okay. Anyway. Drop me a couple questions, I guess, sometime during the week, and we'll get to it. Shout out to Torion in the building on Instagram. Shout out to you, man. It's been a minute. We gotta reconnect. Also, for a new film that I'm working on, it's called Jezebel. I need music for that, so you can go to district24music.com/submit. All right, and we'll get it on and popping. We'll see if it fits with some of the cues that will be coming across my desk. Okay. All right. Anyway, you all, until next week, I'll holler at you all next week. All right. And good show, man. I love when you all ask me stuff, and I love when I can give you the information that you need. I'll holler at you next week. Peace.